The St. Mary's Gaels capped off yet another incredible season with a dominating 70-59 win over number 9 Gonzaga in the final regular season matchup between those two members of the WCC. This win was the Gaels' 8th in a row at the time. They finished the regular season 27-4 overall, while taking just 2 losses in conference to both Santa Clara and Gonzaga. Both of those games are on the road, but of course, in the semifinals, they ended up losing in the WCC tournament to Santa Clara. They fell 76-71 in an electric late night matchup. Santa Clara obviously is going to be able to punch their ticket to the big dance. We're going to have a 3-bid WCC coming into the season. We all thought it was going to be San Francisco. Turns out it was Santa Clara. Who knew? And especially after Santa Clara really stumbled at the beginning of December, but they rebounded very well in terms of overall play for the rest of the season. And we are now going to have 3 teams from the WCC. Love it. Aside from that, the fact that they punched their ticket, they lost in the championship game to Gonzaga, and the Zags have clinched their final WCC championship before moving to the Pac-12 next season. All right, let's get back to St. Mary's, who we were talking about in this video. They have not finished outside the top 25 in KenPom since the shortened 2020-2021 season. They sit 22nd as of the publishing of this video. They are 44th in offensive adjusted efficiency and 21st in defensive adjusted efficiency. Throughout their 8-game winning streak, they've given up more than 67 points just once to Seattle on the road. And on this season, they've given up more than 70 points just 8 times. So let's dive into the rest of their team metrics. And let's give you a look at why I think the St. Mary's Gaels could become a bracket buster. Well, I guess maybe not fully a bracket buster, but a team to watch coming out of a non-power conference school this season in the NCAA tournament. Looking at their team metrics, specifically their defensive stats, here's where they line up. It's a classic Randy Bennett strong defensive team. 16th in opponent effective field goal percentage, 4th in opponent offensive rebounding percentage, 12th in opponent free throw attempt versus field goal attempt, 45th in opponent 3-point shooting percentage, and 20th in opponent 2-point shooting percentage. On the offensive end, they are 111th in effective field goal percentage, 15th in offensive rebounding percentage, 11th in 3-point shooting percentage, 247th in 2-point shooting percentage, 1st in free throw shooting percentage, and 42nd in steal percentage. So again, this is a very classic Randy Bennett team. They're focused on a slower pace, strong defense, and effective shot selection. Out of their primary rotational player, no person on this roster shoots below 40% overall, and just one shoots below 30% from beyond the arc. They are 58th in the country in assists per field goal made. Coupled with the fact that they are middle of the pack in turnover percentage, the Gaels take great care of the ball and focus on moving the ball around the perimeter. So, breaking down and kind of merging all these statistics together, they are not going to look for a shot inside the arc. They score just 47.5% of their points from inside. They are 223rd in the nation in that stat. However, if you think that they're 38.6% shooting from outside, which is near top 10 in 3-point shooting percentage, they'd be taking a lot of threes. That is not the case. It's not the case. It's a mask. They're scoring just 30.9% of their points from outside. So when you couple this together, they're obviously scoring a lot of points from the free throw line. 21.5% of their points, in fact, are coming from the free throw line. That's 90th in the country. So they have a big emphasis on drawing fouls, giving themselves breathers, giving themselves opportunities to score at the line in a free throw opportunity. However, couple that with the fact that they are one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country, even though they're not necessarily scoring all of their points from there, it's a great combo. Because from inside, yeah, they're not looking to take that inside shot, but what they are looking is to get inside, draw the foul, get to the line, or give themselves an opportunity. So you are really giving yourself a 1-2 punch in terms of, hey, we're going to slash, we're drawing a foul on you, or vice versa, we're kicking back outside to a 3-pointer where we are very good at shooting those. So what's been wild to watch is really in a year without Augustus Marciulionis maintaining the offense, they've had no problem missing that step. And we're going to talk about the ball handlers here in a minute, but they have plenty of them. They're led by a budding sophomore that we're going to dive into. But this is why I think all of these team metrics put together is why this team could go on a run in the NCAA tournament. This roster has a ton of key players. In particular, they have a 3-headed monster in Murauskas, Mikey Lewis, and Joshua Dent. So let's talk about Murauskas. He's averaging 18.8 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 2.2 assists while shooting 48.7% overall and 33.6% from beyond the arc. His 122.5 offensive rating is 260th in the nation, while his 59.5% true shooting percentage is 300th. He also ranks 300th in defensive rebounding percentage at 19.7% and 125th in fouls drawn per game. Remember, free throws. They shoot a lot of free throws, and he's converting it at 84.4% clip. He's posted some insane stat lines, including 32 points, 15 rebounds against Pacific, and 30 points and 15 rebounds against Seattle U. Lewis is averaging 14.2 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 2.2 assists, while shooting 40.2% overall and 37.2% from three-point. When he's on the court, he's taking 30.5% of the Gaels shots. That is 69th most in the country. He's taken a huge step up after a very good freshman campaign last season. He's been even better as late as well, while he's averaging 22.6 points, 3.6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1.4 steals over his last 5 games. Dent has been probably the most surprising up-and-coming star on this team. He's averaging 13 points, 2.4 rebounds, 5.7 assists, and 1.6 steals. He's shooting 46.6% overall from the floor. He's shooting 40.1% from beyond the arc. He's another sophomore. He's kind of come out of nowhere. I know people, Gaels fans in particular, could tell that he was going to be a significant talent, but I think doing what he has done has been a surprise to a lot of us who are not super in tune into the depth of the roster overall coming into the season. He's one of the best point guards outside of the traditional power conference ranks. He features a 28.5 assist rate, which is 115th overall in the country, a 122.7 offensive rating, which is 246th, a 55.2% effective field goal percentage, which is 352nd, and a 60.7% true shooting percentage, which is 213th. He's 12th in the country in free throw shooting percentage. Again, great free throw shooting team. And he shoots 91.3% from the line. He's finished with double-digit assists 3 times, dishing out 11 assists in those 3 games with no more than 3 turnovers. What makes him so special is his ability to both flex as a floor general, taking Augustas Marciulionis' spot from last season, but also providing more of an offensive spark, especially from beyond the arc, which is something that Marciulionis struggled a little bit with last season. Andrew McKeever is a secret 4th piece to the puzzle. The big man is averaging 8.4 points, 9.2 rebounds, and 1.7 assists per game, while shooting 50.7% overall. He's 2nd in the country in offensive rebounding percentage at 20.3 and 27th in defensive rebounding percentage at 25.6. He's a prolific shot blocker with a 4% block percentage, which is 281st in the country. He's had 8 double-doubles and double-digit rebounds 12 times. Before we start our closing thoughts here, I want to take a moment to encourage you to check out and subscribe to our weekly newsletter on Substack, Bracket Busters. What we do is we send out during the regular season weekly heat check reports. We talk about who's hot, who's not. We give you a team that you need to know every single week. And during the off season, it doesn't stop. We do a lot of metric and data-driven articles. We give you an insight into your team. We do a lot of preseason reviews once rosters are starting to be complete. We talk about FIBA tournaments. You name it, we discuss it if it comes to mid-major college basketball. So if you want to talk more about your favorite non-power conference team, then I recommend you subscribe for free. It is a free newsletter, everyone, at bracketbustershoops.com. Let's talk about closing thoughts here. I'll be the first to admit that it seems like we talk about St. Mary's making a run in the NCAA tournament every single season. And well, the fact is they haven't. Not since 2010. That was the last time they made the Sweet 16, despite being a 5 seed 3 years in a row and a 7 seed all the last 4 seasons. They've gotten out of the round of 64 just in 5 of their 7 appearances, but they've struggled once they get to the round of 32 pretty consistently over the last decade and a half. And they always leave you wanting more. And some of this is seeding, some of this is the bracket they're in, and really it just kind of, it's simply put, is they haven't been clutch. However, what I like about this team in particular, even in comparison to the 5 seeds that they've had over the last few seasons, is the fact that they're deeper and they're structured a little bit differently, with a little bit more offense, which I think is going to be able to help them. And, last year, it's like I said a little bit ago, they had Augustas Marciulionis, who was the floor general, but he wasn't a great three-point threat. Now you have Joshua Dent, who is a floor general still, just as good, but more of an offensive threat, especially from beyond the arc. It opens up something because then you have to fear his ability to shoot from outside while also dishing it out. Murauskas is obviously a dominating threat, one of the best players outside of the traditional power conference ranks. He's still here. They had him last year, and he's even better than he was last year. So now you have him accompanied with a thriving offensive asset in Mikey Lewis and a point guard, like I mentioned, in Joshua Dent, who can provide you with high-octane offense all over the floor. You also have Andrew McKeever, who's going to be able to clean up the glass. And I didn't even talk about Harry Wessels. Wessels is 12th in offensive rebounding percentage and 102nd in blocking percentage. You have other guys, too, like Dylan Shaw. This is a team who is much deeper, in my opinion, than the team that we had last season. And I think it's going to show, depending on the seeding that they get in the NCAA tournament this season. I will say, unfortunately, I think it's going to come down once again to seeding. And for whatever reason, I feel like they never get a favorable position. Like last year they played a tough Vanderbilt team, beat them, lost in the next round. I think it's going to completely depend on the bracket, but they, for whatever reason, it seems like always get put into an absolute stacked region. Don't know why. However, if we had a team under the last few that had could return to the Sweet 16, I think this could be a sneaky pick this season with the St. Mary's Gaels. I think they have the potential and the depth on this roster to make it back to the NCAA tournament, or make it back to the Sweet 16 in this year's NCAA tournament. So I'm going to end this video and ask you, what do you think? Do you think they can return and make it out of the first weekend? Do you think they can actually make it out of the round of 32 this time? If they even make it out of the round of 64? What's your thoughts on the Gaels? And, I don't know if we can further call them bracket buster, because if you're getting 5 and 7 seeds, you're not necessarily busting brackets. You're favored in your matchups. So now, I'm going to leave that with you. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you haven't yet, definitely subscribe to Bracket Busters, because this is not going to be the final video of March Madness or during March Madness. So make sure to subscribe for more breakdowns and team metrics that we're going to be running through to make sure you are fully educated for this season's NCAA tournament. Happy March.